well in air fryers too. If you have one piece of salmon, you could do it in the air fryer, because it's a dry oven. It's a convection oven essentially. So you could do it in the air fryer. We're going to do it in the oven on a baking sheet. Baking sheet salmon is one of my favorite easy, quick dinners. You only have one pan to wash. If you use parchment or if you have like a silicone mat, cleanup is really simple. So salmon roasts at 400, 425 in about 10 minutes. 10 minutes per inch of thickness. So super, super fast. I like to do salmon and veggies at the same time. Right now, there's not a lot that's in season. You can get asparagus, but it's not, we're not growing asparagus in Alberta right now. You could do winter veggies. You could do squash. You could do root vegetables, cauliflower, broccoli, whatever you like. And if it's a heartier vegetable that's going to take longer to cook, I would just start it first. And for the last 10 minutes, move the veggies aside and put your salmon on the baking sheet and let it finish cooking. So I've got some green beans because it seemed like a good idea and pretty. And they resemble the asparagus in the photo. So what kind of veggies do you have? Hold them up or put it in the chat. Let's see, you've got green beans. Is that green beans? Green or asparagus? Oh, I see asparagus. I love eating asparagus raw. And especially when it's in season, it's so good. It tastes like fresh peas. So if you have asparagus, I've got some of the steamer asparagus. This is actually a nice stalk. It's got a nice tight tip. They're kind of purpley. It's a myth that thinner asparagus is better. It's a myth. Thinner is not better. Thicker asparagus tends to be sweeter. It's easier to cook because it doesn't kind of disintegrate. It's got more, the ratio of inside to outside skin is higher. So I like it a lot better when it's thicker. So if you see thick asparagus, don't think, oh, it's older. It's not older. The width of the stalk has nothing to do with the age. It doesn't get thicker as it gets older. You want to make sure that it's not shriveled looking on the sides. And usually you want to break off the end. These are pre-trimmed, so it feels like we don't have to break them off. But usually what I do is I kind of feel, oh, we're getting a close-up. I feel where it wants to naturally break, and usually it's about an inch, and I break off that bottom of the stalk. You can use this in stock, different kind of stock, in soup stock. So if you want to throw it in your freezer and save it for vegetable stock, okay, well, let's do some asparagus and some beans. Since we have both, we'll put both. These don't even need to be trimmed. I'm going to do some asparagus and some green beans. So if you have thinner asparagus, it's going to cook quicker. If you have thicker asparagus, it's going to take a little bit longer. And the great thing about all these veggies is, they're fine raw, so you don't have to worry about, cooking them long enough. If they go in with the salmon and cook for 10 minutes, they'll be tender crisp, and that's perfect. So I've got some grape tomatoes, little tiny tomatoes, asparagus, green beans. If you're doing cauliflower or broccoli, just separate them into florets. If you're doing squash or potatoes, you could do new potatoes cut in half, or you could do carrots, parsnips, any root vegetable, cube them. They take half an hour to cook, so I would cook them for about 20 minutes and then add your salmon. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my oil and toss the veggies. Any questions yet?
There was a question about wild versus farmed salmon.
Oh, yes. That's a big conversation to have. This is Atlantic wild. No, this is fresh farmed salmon. So you know what, there are arguments for each, whatever your preference is. Whatever is available and in season. So This is farmed. It's fairly thick. You could do one small fillet or a full fillet. This is cut into pieces, this fillet, and it's got the skin on. So I would put it skin side down on my sheet. And we're going to toss our veggies with oil. Salmon is a nice fatty fish, so you don't really need to drizzle it with oil, but it doesn't hurt to drizzle it with a bit of oil. You could use pesto and spread the pesto on top. You could do like a teriyaki glaze or whatever you like to put on your salmon. But I really like keeping it simple and just doing oil and salt and pepper. So this is olive oil, extra virgin. You could use canola oil, whatever vegetable oil you have. I smell my tarts shells. Oh, they're toasted. I never set a timer. I just go by smell. Because when you can smell something baking, it's probably done or close to done. So you want them to be golden. We're going to cook the filling separately. It doesn't get cooked in the tart shells. So I just wanted them to be baked. And that was fast.
Julie, there was also a question about using frozen salmon and any tips you have.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, frozen salmon is fine. Just thaw it, pop it in the fridge. And it should thaw pretty quickly because it's fairly thin. This is actually a fairly thick fillet as far as salmon goes. But yeah, if you pull it out in the morning, it'll thaw fairly quickly over the course of the day. So yeah, frozen is fine. Wild or farmed, whatever you can find. And oil, salt. Salt only if you want it to taste good. Otherwise, don't worry about it. That was a joke. You guys are laughing, right? Make sure the veggies are coated with oil. Get some from the pan, toss it around with my fingers. And you also want to make sure your pan is not really crowded. Because if it's crowded, the veggies are going to steam, which is still fine. But if you want them to brown a little bit, I like to not crowd my pan. Oops. Okay, so they're all nice and oily. Let's rub the salmon down too. Any spice blend you'd like to use, you could rub a dry spice mix or single spice on your salmon. You could put thinly sliced lemon on your salmon. You could put fresh herbs. These are from my friend's garden, some fresh thyme. That'll look nice, hey? And maybe some pepper. I'm gonna turn my oven up a little bit. How's everyone doing? Can I see your trays?
We lost you.
Julie, we lost your video feed.
Uh-oh. Can you still hear me?
We can, yes.
Uh-oh, mic's on it. I wonder if I can sign in on my phone as backup. Oh, there I am. I see myself. So here's my tray. Where did you lose me at the time? We've got some fresh thyme on top just because it looks fancy. Can I see your fish? I see some of you just hanging out on the couch. That's very smart. Oh, that looks beautiful. I can't quite read the names, but I see it. It looks gorgeous. That was a nice dark fillet. Yes, you just, oh, look at that. Look, they look so great. They look amazing. And the great thing about this is you can cook a small fillet for 1 or 2 people. You can do a big fillet. It takes about the same length of time. Now, because fish fillets have sort of a varying degree of thickness, the thin edge is going to flake. Often you see in a recipe that your fish should flake easily with a fork. The thin part should flake easily, but the middle part should still have some moisture to it. So I'm going to throw this in. I don't think I salted my veggies. Let's make sure we get some salt all around there, and some pepper. You don't really need to measure. I love recipes that you don't really have to measure. I know it drives some people crazy. Okay, so I'm going to throw this in for about 10 minutes. It might take 12 or 14 because I have a thicker piece of fish, but you want about 10 minutes per inch of thickness of your fish. Awesome. This is too fast almost. Okay, so now let's make lemon curd. This is my favorite things to make is lemon curd. I often make pavlovas, which are little meringue nests or a big meringue nest, which is great if you're doing gluten-free, if you need a gluten-free dessert. And the great thing about making meringue, which we didn't have time to do in a class because they have to bake for a long time, but when you make the meringue, you have egg whites and egg yolks. You use the whites in the meringue and the yolks in your lemon curd. So I am going to keep my whites for something else and use the yolks in the curd. Okay, so separating eggs. Who's going to make the lemon curd? Everybody? Are you guys making lemon curd? So many kids in here, it's great. Yes, great. Okay, so we're going to separate our eggs first, which can be scary for some people. But it's a myth that your eggs need to be at room temperature if you're whipping the whites to make meringue. They don't have to be at room temperature. If they're at room temperature, they're going to be harder to separate. Cold eggs will be easier because the yolk is fat, so it's more solid when it's cold than when it's at room temperature. Okay, here I've got a measuring cup here. I've got a half a cup of sugar. I'm gonna put everything into my pot, saucepan. I was trying to remember what this was called. Who else has pandemic brain and you just kind of forget words or you say the wrong words? Okay, so now I've got a bowl. I'm gonna separate my egg yolks from the whites. How I usually do this is just in the shell. You could crack it into your fingers. You could crack it into a slotted spoon. That's just the way I learned to do it. Just going back and forth. So 1, I think I can do 3 without breaking the yolk. 2. Now I'm not making meringue, so if I broke a little bit of yolk in it in the white, it's okay. But if you do get a little bit of yolk in your white and you're making meringue, they probably won't whip. Or if you're whipping the egg whites for any reason, they won't whip if there's some fat in there. But if you're just using the whites for like your pancakes or whatever, don't worry about it so much. So I'll throw those in the fridge. 3 egg yolks, half a cup of sugar. This is a small batch of lemon curd. And then we want the zest of a lemon. I'm going to zest it before I juice it. And I use a really fine zester, microplane. You don't want those strips, you know, those gadgets that peel long strips. That's sort of more decorative. It's great for, you know, salads. I often make an Orzo salad with spinach and strips of lemon zest, but we want to grate it really fine. This is a good big lemon. And we want about 1/3 cup of juice. Is that what I said in the recipe? This is a really easily doubled recipe too. I usually make double batch, a cup of sugar, 6 egg yolks, couple lemons, a little pinch of salt in there too. And we're going to put butter in at the end. Okay, where's my knife? Let's juice this lemon. So if you roll your lemon on the countertop or you pop it in the microwave for 20 seconds, it'll release more juice. I actually, when I'm doing fish, I often roast the lemon halves right on the baking sheet along with the fish. And then the lemons kind of get caramelized. Sometimes they get a little bit smoky and they break down. So if you want to squeeze it over your fish, it'll like release tons of juice and kind of a little bit of the pulp too over the fish. Okay, I'm gonna measure. Do you think I can squeeze right into this tiny measuring cup? I'm gonna measure my lemon juice. And if you don't have enough in your lemons, most lemons have about 3 tablespoons of juice. Sometimes you get juicier lemons. Typically the thinner skin lemons are juicier, and then the thicker skin lemons have less juice. You can top it up. I'm spraying it all over my kitchen. Good thing lemon juice is a cleaner. Oh, I can see some lemon juicers. Oh, and zesters. You guys are doing such a good job. Nice. I don't even own a lemon reamer. You know, those gadgets you sort of get in there. I don't have one. I just never used one. So if you have one, use it. Okay. I am going to top up my lemon juice because I have a dryish lemon. So I'm going to use some of this stuff, which is totally fine. Or you could juice another lemon if you like. Ooh. I can't believe there aren't more questions. Am I just telling you guys everything you need to know? It's a pretty simple recipe, both of them. So about 1/3 cup of lemon juice in there. Okay. And did I put a pinch of salt in? I think I did. I'm going to move this over here so you can see it. This is my induction burner because my kitchen is not laid out. I don't have an island. So I've got a folding table in the middle of my kitchen because I've got a 112-year-old house. Just lots of character. Okay, can you see? Now I'm going to heat it up and whisk it together, put it over the heat. You don't want to make scrambled eggs with your egg yolks. So usually I whisk it together before I set it over the heat, just to make sure, just to be on the safe side. And then the egg yolks are going to help it thicken into like a curd, which should be fairly fast. I feel like I missed something, but no, I haven't. It's really, really simple. A little bit of butter at the end. Now, if you want to put your butter in to the pot along with everything else and just bring it all to a simmer, you can. I find that if I cook the juice and the zest and the sugar and the egg yolks first, when I add the butter just sort of kickstarts the cooling down process. So one method isn't any worse than the other. And I got some berries. Who has berries to put on top of your tarts? You do? Awesome. What kind of berries do you have? Can I see? Raspberries? Blackberries? Frozen berries would be fine. You don't need to have berries. It just looks pretty.
Julie, there's a question about how long will it take for the tarts to set?
Oh, like 15 minutes, really? 20 minutes? Just as soon as they're cooled, as soon as the curd cools. So if your shells are cool and you spoon in your curd, it should cool pretty quickly.
Oh, and an SOS question, do they use the whites or the yolks?
Oh, the yolks. Sorry, the yolks. 3 egg yolks. Save the whites, and you can use them in your pancakes or your muffins, or you could make meringues out of the whites. So now I'm going to whisk and not stop whisking as it boils because I want it to thicken. This is a super powerful stove once it gets going. I want it to thicken and turn into curd, but not lemony scrambled eggs.
And one more question, Julie, while you're stirring.
Yep.
Somebody wants to know how to make a dried lemon slice to put on top.
Oh, a dry lemon slice. Well, you could put it, if you don't have a dehydrator, you could cut them really, really thin, put them on parchment, the lowest setting of your oven, until they dry out. If you want to do a dried lemon slice, that would be delicious. You could douse them in sugar first if you like. That's a great idea. That would look great on top. Okay, so you can't quite see inside and even overhead. Here, I'll get close maybe to the camera. It's thickening. Can you see if I tilt it? So it'll boil and thicken, and eventually your spoon will sort of start to leave a trail through the bottom. Now, if you want to strain your curd and get any bits of lemon zest out, you can. A lot of people strain their curd, just put it through a sieve. But I don't mind those little bits of zest. I'm going to turn the heat off. I'm going to add about a 1/4 cup. You don't have to be precise with the butter. About a 1/4 cup. So that's 4 tablespoons of butter. But a little bit more, a little bit less is fine. If you're low on butter, you don't need a full 1/4 cup. Some curd has a lot more butter. That's kind of a middle ground. And if you see any bits of cooked egg in your curd, then you can strain it and get rid of those. So putting the bits of cold butter into the curd will sort of kickstart the cooling process. Now just let that melt. How easy is this? Roasted salmon and vegetables and lemon curd, and my work is pretty much done. Are you guys caught up? Are you on schedule? If you're cooking along, I can hear my salmon sizzling in the oven. I see whisking. Awesome, thumbs up, good, excellent. Any other questions, Paula? Oh, my salmon looks great.
Oh, there's a couple people feeling way behind. We'll let them catch up. Should the lemon curd foam?
Sorry?
Should the lemon curd foam?
Yeah, it can foam, yep. Don't stress if it's foaming. You want it to boil, to bubble, to thicken. If it's looking foamy, that's okay. So mine now looks like runny curd. It's gonna thicken up as it cools, but it's thicker, but not as thick as it'll be once it's cooled, if that makes sense. Okay. Now I'm going to check my salmon because has it been 10 minutes? I feel like it's been 10 minutes. I'm going to put it right on the stove top. It looks good. Salmon is so fast. You could do steelhead trout, which is very similar to salmon. You cook it the same way. So you want it to be opaque. You're going to see little sort of white globs on the surface, and that's okay. That's some of the fat and protein rising to the surface. That's done. My salmon is done. You can kind of feel that it's still moist. It's going to flake on the thin edge, but the thick part of the salmon should still have some moisture to it. But if you have those sort of white globs on the surface on the side in particular, that's a good sign. And our veggies are tender, not overcooked. I love when the tomatoes kind of blister and collapse. Amazing. And if you're only cooking for 1 or 2, but you get a bigger piece of salmon, sometimes it's cheaper to get more salmon. Leftover cold salmon is amazing. It's good on its own. It's great in salad or pasta or on toast. You could creamed salmon on toast. Did I disappear again?
You've disappeared again, yeah.
Well, Mike's fiddling with the bits. There I am. Yay. Okay, here I'm gonna do a close-up. Get close to the camera. Mm-hmm. So the light is not looking that appetizing over here. I'm getting too close to the tungsten light, I think. But trust me, it looks delicious. Yeah, and it's super fast. Okay, so our salmon is done. Our tart shells are baked. I'm going to spoon in some curd. I'm always worried that I'm not going to, get it all done in an hour. And it's like, I think it's been 30 minutes. This is super fast. I'm going to fill my tart shells. If you want to cool your curd and then fold in some whipped cream and make like a lemon mousse, you could do that. Or you could top the cooled tarts with whipped cream. I still have whipped cream from Christmas. I always buy so much cream. I'm always afraid I'm going to run out of cream. And butter. I always run out of butter. But I still have cream in my fridge. All right. Look at that. So this is enough to fill 8. A little bit left over. I can look out the pot. And if you have berries, you can put them on top. Wait till they're a little bit set if you like, or, oh, perfect. They'll sink a little bit into the lemon curd. Or you can put the berries underneath and put the curd over top. Is everyone feeling okay? No one's stressed out? Is anyone stressed out? You guys look like you're having way too much fun over there on the Brooklyn Bridge. Is that the Brooklyn Bridge?
Might be.
Looks like the Brooklyn Bridge. I love that some of you are just hanging out on your couch. It's the way to do it. What's everyone having for dinner tonight if you're not having salmon? Anyone? Is anyone answering, Paula?
Well, we have someone announcing that they're so thrilled that they had no idea lemon curd was so easy. And someone else is having pasta and sausages for dinner, but there's definitely some salmon coming up too.
Yay. Yeah, lemon curd is so simple to make. Once you do it, you'll do it all the time. You can just keep it in the fridge and use it for all kinds of things. Some people even have it on toast or in your oatmeal. Actually, who remembers Diner Deluxe is still open. Do they still have fried oatmeal with lemon curd? I haven't been for like 10 years. So if you cook your oatmeal and you refrigerate it in like a loaf pan and slice it and then fry it, how many of you know about fried oatmeal? I feel like it's an old-fashioned thing. I've been doing it and eating it for years. We used to go to Diner Deluxe and we would order breakfast and then we would order the fried oatmeal with lemon curd and whipped cream for the table, right? And it was like, sometimes you get like waffles for the table. It's like breakfast dessert when you go for brunch or breakfast. I feel like I'm losing my voice. Do I sound like it? I hope not. I don't know why it would be. I haven't been singing. I haven't been to any concerts lately. So yeah, once you know how to make a lemon curd, make extra oatmeal and then chill it and slice it and fry it in butter. I haven't thought about that for a long time. I'm totally going to do that now. Okay, I'm burying my tarts. Usually when I do live classes, there's so much activity and it's just, it's so great to be able to cook in our own kitchens, but it's also so quiet compared to being in a big kitchen with 50 people. So are any of you finished? Is your salmon, can I see some of your finished salmon? If you're done. Ta-da. Oh, that looks great. Oh, those are tarts. I was going to say, are those bagels? You made your tarts already. They look fantastic. Wow, that's so great. Dinner is ready. I have to take a picture of this. If I didn't take a picture, it didn't happen, right? This is cool enough to hold. I gotta take a photo. I'm gonna take a photo with you guys in the background. Huh? Awesome. Oh, I see that oven shot, oven cam. That's awesome. I'm impressed that mine actually worked with only my top element working. Yay. I will hopefully have it fixed by our next class in 2 weeks. I'm not even sure what's up next. Paula, do you know what's up next for our classes?
Details tomorrow, but we have a class coming up in 2 weeks with, I believe it'll be falafel.
Oh, falafel. I just made falafel. I love making falafel. Okay, cool. Falafel is really fun. You can do it with dried chickpeas and soak them, or you can do it with fresh chickpeas, like canned chickpeas. You could probably do it with fresh chickpeas too, but if you're doing canned, that's totally fine. If you're doing dried, you want to soak them for about 24 hours. I think I did a recipe for fresh, like for canned chickpeas, because not everyone plans ahead, but dried chickpeas that are soaked and then fried, or you can do them in a skillet, are fantastic. So if you think of it, get some dried chickpeas and soak them. And oh yeah, falafel with flatbread with naan. I think it's with naan. That's what I just made that. That's so funny. Awesome. So any other questions before we wrap up? Even though we're early, shall we just keep going for 15 minutes? What do you guys think, Shelley and Paula?
One question about the curd. If it doesn't appear to be thickening yet, is it okay to put it back on the heat and keep going?
Yes, totally. Even if the butter is in there, that's totally fine. Just cook it a little bit longer. And then it will still be fairly liquidy, not runny, but thickened, but not super thick. Does that make sense? It'll set as it cools. So you can see in the bottom of my pot. I'm going to come close to the camera again. This is sort of what's left, and it's cooled. Not completely cooled, but it's starting to cool, and you can see that it's leaving a trail for sure, but more so than it was when it was warm. It's like jam, when jam is still warm, or if you took a jar of jam and warmed some up, it would be more liquidy. So it will thicken. So you don't need it to look like cold lemon curd in the pot. It'll thicken as it cools. But totally put it back on the stove if you want. I can never lick my fingers, and I guess I could. I'm not sharing this food with anybody else. I'm so in the habit of tasting as I go. Nigella licks her fingers, right?
And judging by the comments, I think there's going to be a lot of fried oatmeal tomorrow morning.
There's a few which?
There'll be a lot of fried oatmeal happening tomorrow morning,
Oh,
judging by the comments.
Totally going to do oatmeal. Well, I'll make oatmeal tomorrow. Actually, I might have some in the fridge, some cold oatmeal. But if you refrigerate it in a loaf pan, then it's easier to slice. Oh, and it's so good. And you go to a restaurant like Diner Deluxe, which it's great, but you go to a restaurant and it's like, $11 or whatever for fried oatmeal. And it's so easy to make at home and so fancy. Yeah, I'm totally going to do that. With my whipped cream. Oh, food is so great. Isn't food great? So we're going to have this video. Mike and his crew at Bamboo Shoots is going to edit it and put it up on the Calgary Co-op YouTube channel. So you can refer back if you forgot something, or if you want to share with your friends, show them how to make salmon and lemon tarts. dinner in half an hour from scratch with dessert. And it wasn't pudding. That was my mom's emergency dessert when we were kids, was chocolate pudding from a box, which we loved. But that was like, you know, you need a quick dessert. You didn't make, you know, lemon curd and fruit tarts because that's fancy, but it's easier than I think a lot of people realize. And there's no shame in getting frozen pastry shells, right? Who's going to complain when you made pie for dessert?
Julie, we're back to the fried oatmeal. There's a question.
We should do a brunch class. That'd be fun. Mike's not okay. What's the question?
Should it be fried in butter or coconut oil?
Oh, either. Any fat. It depends on what you like the flavor of. Butter is delicious. Butter is always my go-to, but coconut oil, if you want to do vegan or dairy-free, you can do coconut oil. You could do regular oil, canola oil, which doesn't have much flavor, but it'll make it crispy. But yeah, butter. Anything else? It's so funny that the most questions are about the fried oatmeal. Any other questions? You could do like lime curd, other citrus fruit.
We had a question for the group about the timing, if this was a good time, and it's coming back on the chat that this is a good time. And I think there's some interest in brunch classes too. So thanks for bringing that up.
In which classes? Oh, brunch classes. I think you said French. Like, wow, if we could do some French cooking. Yeah, you know, we were talking about this is totally like the first time we're doing these Zoom classes with Co-op. And we figured starting at 5, and I think we said 5 till, did we say 5? Yeah, 5 till 6 would be dinner time, right? Everyone could make dinner and then eat dinner. So I'm glad to hear that that's a good time for people. It's a strange week this week with everyone kind of going back to work and schools reopening. My teenager is back at school today. So yeah, 5 o'clock, I think is, what is time anymore, right? Time I have to stop and think about what day it is nowadays. We could have like a brunch for dinner class, fried oatmeal for dinner, using leftovers, I think intentional leftovers is a good thing. You know, when I make rice, I always make more rice so I can have fried rice the next day, because cold rice is the best for fried rice. The grains don't clump, they're nice and separate. And you can make fried rice out of anything you have in the fridge. And it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes to make a batch of fried rice. So can you hear my stomach grumbling on the mic? The mic is like 5 inches above my currently grumbling stomach because I haven't eaten since, I don't even know what time, because time has no meaning. Any other?
Julie, we're back. We're on leftovers now. People are loving intentional leftovers.
Oh, yes.
If there's salmon left over and they want to put it on a salad, any ideas for a quick and easy vinaigrette for salmon and salad?
Ooh, I mean, anything you like. It depends on your taste. It depends on the greens. I would do a balsamic vinaigrette if I was doing like spring mix or some sort of greens. I really love kale and Brussels sprout salad with a lemon vinaigrette. So lemon oil, a little bit of mustard, a little bit of honey. Oh, don't zoom in too close. You can see my roots. But salmon would be great on a kale salad. So great. One of my favorite salads, my mom and I came up with this, and I'm sure we're not the first to do it, but years ago, like decades ago, we were going to a shower and we made this orzo salad with spinach and lemon. And it's just orzo, which is little rice-shaped pasta. Rice would work fine too. Orzo, tons of chopped spinach, just tear it up or chop it up. Lemon zest and juice. So we make this all the time now. Zest the lemon right into the salad and then squeeze over the juice. And then olive oil, purple onion or green onion. Oh, I've got green onion here. And then leftover salmon. I actually make orzo salad for leftover salmon sometimes. So that would be really good as well. But yeah, salmon goes well with everything. Like, you could do like a creamy, oh, you know what you could do? So often I do, oh my gosh, cilantro, a fresh cilantro dressing when I get a bunch of cilantro and I use sort of a lot of the stem, I sort of chop the ends of the stems and I use the tops, and then I end up with sort of this middle bit that sometimes gets tossed. I blend the cilantro with plain yogurt, mayo, lime juice, garlic, and jalapeno, and I call it green sauce. I call it green sauce because I throw whatever herbs are in there, but usually cilantro. And that would be fantastic with salmon or any kind of green goddess, any creamy herby dressing. Have I lost everybody? I see a lot of ceilings right now. Am I rambling too much?
We had a lot of thank yous, and if you were very hungry, we're going to go eat.
Yeah, I was going to say, if people's dinner is finished, you should go eat it before it gets cold. And you have leftover cold salmon, but cold salmon is great too. And salmon, like a tuna melt with salmon is fantastic. And also just salmon salad sandwich, right? Like with vinegar or with mayonnaise. My mom and my grandma always made salmon salad with apple cider vinegar on squishy white bread. And I love it. So yeah, goes with everything. So shall we wrap up so that the video when we post it isn't too rambly at the end? If no one has any more questions, everyone wants to go eat.
Thank you so much, Julie. Thank you. That was fantastic.
Thanks everybody for joining. It's so good to see everyone's faces, even if it's on a screen, and to sort of interact with people and to peek into your kitchens. And you don't have to clean beyond this space, right? Awesome. Well, take care of yourself, everybody. I think it's super important that we connect however we can, because personal interactions are really important, not only for your mental health, but for your overall health. So I know this isn't quite the same, but it makes a difference to me. So thanks for joining me in my kitchen. And we'll see you hopefully next time. Bye. Everyone's waving. I'm getting all goosebumpy. Bye. I'm going to go eat my salmon.